What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Barely Pregame Show on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Ivan Vargas, and we got a lot of news, good news and bad news coming in this week. And we might as well just start it off. Khalil Mack, we'll start out with the bad news. Khalil Mack is out for the remainder of the season. You'll have an Allen Robinson out tonight or today. You'll have a couple other guys out today. I had the injury report right here. Here are the inactives. Nick Foles obviously continues to be out, as I don't expect him to be active at all this season. You have Akeem Hicks, who's going to be out today. Allen Robinson, as I had mentioned. Damian Williams again. Artie Burns, Eddie Jackson, and Jesper Horsted for the Chicago Bears. That's going to be rough. Obviously Khalil Mack is the biggest blow to this team, especially on the defensive side. You able to sign Bruce Irvin this week, but I don't think Bruce Irvin can match the amount of attention Khalil Mack creates and draws. I think Bruce Irvin's a nice pickup. It's going to help. Definitely, you have a struggling pass rush. I know you had Kamara and Gibson pretty much tag teaming that left side, while you have Robert Quinn on the other side. But it hasn't been getting any type of a push up front. So adding Bruce Irvin should help, hopefully. But the biggest blow, Khalil Mack, again, Eddie Jackson out. But there is some blessings, and I guess it's bye week blessings, possibly. I don't know. But Lamar Jackson will be out of today's game. That is the good news for the Chicago Bears. You'll also have what's up, bro? Well, you'll also have Marquise Brown out for the Baltimore Ravens. You also have cornerback Jimmy Smith out for the Baltimore Ravens. So the Ravens continue to take huge shots as far as injuries are concerned, huge shots to their team. It's hard to really bounce back from as many injuries as the Baltimore Ravens are having. And then, coming into a pivotal game for them, you're trying to keep pace. You're in sole possession of the lead in the AFC North, but you have the Steelers who are on your tail. You have the Bengals, you have the Browns. Pretty much everybody in that AFC North is fighting for that top spot because it is so close now. And now you're coming into a game, if you're Baltimore, down your number one quarterback, down your number one receiver. Sorry, down your number one quarterback, down your number one rusher in Lamar Jackson, and down your number one receiver. So it's a quite a whirlwind for the Baltimore Ravens within this last week. I know Lamar's been sick all week, but you would expect him to kind of feel a little bit better towards game time. But he looked pretty bad walking into Soldier Field today. They showed clips of him earlier with a mask on, kind of walking gingerly, not really, kind of spacey, not knowing where he was coming or going. It sucks for Lamar. I don't wish anything bad on Lamar. I really like Lamar as a quarterback and kind of as a dude, is seeing how he is as a person. But for the Bears, you got to be thanking your lucky stars that Lamar Jackson is out and you could find a way to get a victory and stop the bleeding of this 4-game losing streak. The bye week, it should have gotten you in a different type of a mentality going into this second half of the season for you. If not, your coaches have failed you, and I know we all know the coaches have failed them up to this point, in my eyes, in this regime. And I just don't think the Bears can fumble this game. I almost want to say it's unfumbleable unless they go ahead and fumble it away themselves as far as the play, as far as giving away the ball and turnovers. Justin Fields, I'm looking for him to take a step forward. You had the best game of your life so far up to this point. Best game of your life up to this point. I feel like he doesn't. The game is starting to slow down, and not like it was slow earlier in the season in the preseason against Miami, but more or less like he's starting to understand what he can do on the football field. He's starting to understand what his receivers can do on the football field. It's just kind of slowly but surely coming together for Justin Fields. And, the chemistry last week it got better in the second half when you were able to let Lamar do what he did, cut him loose. It got better. Cole Kmet had a big game. You had a connection with Allen Robinson for a big play. You were finding your receivers. A lot of guys got touches 2 weeks ago against Pittsburgh. Even in the loss, I'm still bitter about that loss. We all know about the referees and the shit show that was Monday Night Football, Bears Steelers. We all know about the taunting call. We all understand that. But honestly, it's the team discipline as a whole needed to be better. And I think in today's game, looking at that game in Pittsburgh, looking at that game against the San Francisco 49ers, both winnable games. I feel like this team, and you had a lead against San Francisco. I feel like this team should be at that point. Let's say if we're starting the season at San Francisco 2-0, you should have beaten San Francisco and Pittsburgh in my eyes. Coming into this week, you got a wounded Baltimore team that you should be able to manhandle. Like I quite honestly, their secondary is atrocious. They're decent up front with a pass rush. They have a couple good linebackers. They have Patrick Quinn, who's a really good linebacker. They have Calais Campbell, who's really good up front. But other than that, they're beat up. So it's gonna be Justin Fields taking advantage of his of the secondary of the Baltimore Ravens, using his arm, mixing it in with his legs when he has to, but using his arm. Hopefully, the team discipline is better today. I just want them to. I want them to understand that you got to come to grips with what you're doing on the football, what's going on around you, the situation. Robert Quinn, and it's mainly Robert Quinn that I'm pointing out right here, right now. You're in the biggest spot. I know you're trying to get an edge, but does your mistake outweigh what could be? You have them on the ropes. You have them on third down. You have them in bad field position. Why give them anything? Why even risk giving them an advantage in that situation with a chance to shut them down and get the ball back for your team? You got to be more disciplined. I know everybody's going to talk about that taunting call. At this point, look, the head referee should be fine for trying to clip him on his way back. Cassius Marsh, I just think it's a taunting call. You just can't ninja kick and walk to the sideline. It is what it is. Just be better disciplined as a team. But we've seen this team be undisciplined for 2-3 years now. Last year, you saw it with the Saints, against the Saints. 2 receivers punching 1 cornerback. It's just enough's enough. It's time to be better. The secondary for Chicago, on the other hand, needs to be better. And, that's something that last week you had Claypool, you had Deontay Johnson. You had guys take advantage of you on third down in the secondary. Kendall Vildor, I mean, you could say he's younger, but it's to me, if you're gonna play on this defense, you got to be able to make plays. You got to be able to get off the field on third down. Chase Claypool was just manhandling you on third down on that deep route. It was just all Chase Claypool. You're without Eddie Jackson. You got a couple guys doing some stuff good. Houston Carson does certain things good. He's playing really well, but it's just not complete. And Sean Desai, coming from being a safeties coach to being a defensive coordinator, maybe the lack of attention to detail there for him is affecting them. But to be honest with you, you just need to step up as a secondary as a whole. Eddie Jackson or not, you guys are professionals. You guys need to step up, and you need to see some growth from them. It's too many big plays in too many weeks. You saw Deebo Samuel take advantage of it. You saw the lack of tackling there in that San Francisco game. You saw a big 80-yard play at the end, right at the end of the half, to get San Francisco some points. So it's really about, the defense is good up front. They have good, decent linebacking play. Danny Trevathan's going to be out, thank God. But, Ogletree on the other side hasn't been up to snuff either. It's been kind of a disappointment. I want to say, other than Roquan Smith, the other Mike linebacker and the secondary have been a real disappointment for me. The pass rush was there when Khalil Mack was there, so I'm not too disappointed there. The D tackles and the run game need to step up, though. That's something that's really shitty along that front. Other than that, I think they generated a decent push. If they could get some type of fight going with Bruce Irvin. He's going to be starting today. Well, not starting. I think he'll be active. I don't know if he'll be starting or not, but he'll be active. If they could get some type of a fight from Bruce Irvin, maybe that helps out the rest of the guys and gets things going. But for right now, I just need that secondary to step up. I need there to be a heavy pass rush from the Chicago Bears team in order to do that. Sean Desai, just talk is cheap. Get them going. I know you're injured, but these guys, a lot of these guys have been here. A lot of these guys have been involved. A lot of these guys have been in games. They should be ready to play. You shouldn't have an unprepared secondary 2 weeks in a row. And I felt like that's what they were against San Francisco and against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tevin Jenkins, that's some good news. He'll be active. I think he'll be active. He was practicing. I don't know if he'll be active. I have to look for it again. Let's see what Javi says. So far, do we factor in that Nagy is still the head coach here? I mean, one of the things that I had mentioned earlier and in my notes was, does anybody even give a shit what he says anymore? It doesn't matter what he says anymore. It doesn't seem like the media cares what he says anymore either. So for me, like every time he comes on, it's just like, all right, I guess we have to listen to it. You know, Sean and I in the morning, me and Sean will go ahead and talk about it. It's kind of depressing, to be honest with you, watching that man go up there and just kind of just try to talk his way out of some shit. And it's really cringy at times. It's really frustrating when he doesn't tell you what you want. But yeah, I don't think anybody really gives a shit what Nagy says or thinks anymore. You got to look at him as look at his face and look at how he talks in his press conferences. Hav, it's just he's a dead man walking. You know, he knows his time is up. Justin Fields is his only savior. If the Bears have some type of now I'm knocking on wood. If I know you guys can hear me, I'm knocking on wood. If Justin Fields has some type of miracle run and the Bears run off some wins here and they're in the playoff hunt, it should be the same situation that you had with Lovey. It should be the same situation that you had with Lovey. Fire him and move on. You know what you have with this guy. He doesn't give you any type of hope that things will change. It'll just be the same thing, the same excuses, the same faults, the same undisciplined type of football team next year and beyond if you keep him around. You got to get rid of him. You got to get rid of him this year. But, sticking with this game, he will be involved on the sideline. I don't know, play calling, we'll see. I think in this game, you need to go ahead and believe in Justin Fields as far as Bill Lazor is concerned. You need to believe in Justin Fields' arm. You need to believe in Justin Fields' talent. Just let him air it out. Let him air it out. This secondary for Baltimore is really, really bad, guys. They let Tua Tagovailoa and Jacoby Brissett both. Oh, well, actually, I believe Jacoby was just under 150 yards, so I'll take that back. But they've had two quarterbacks have a pretty decent game in one night against them. And Tua Tagovailoa coming off the bench after hurting his hand. I forgot what exactly the injury was. But after having an injury, and just lighting you up, the secondary is not there. The defense is pretty beat up. Up front, they're really good. Like I said, they have good linebacking play. They have a good defensive line, but they can only do so much if that secondary is allowing big play after big play after big play. So I believe that they need to just believe in Justin Fields, believe in that talent, air it out, use your running backs. I mean, continue to do continue to use your best asset, and that's David Montgomery and the rest of the running backs. I know Damian Williams is going to be out. You'll have Khalil Herbert. So you got two guys right now that a two-headed monster that, in my opinion, could do the job for you today, that should do the job for you today, both in the on the ground and through the air in the short passing game, screen game. I think that's going to be the recipe to beat Baltimore. Attack them deep, but don't forget your running backs. You know what I mean? You need to be able to throw body blows against this Baltimore Ravens team. You do have a young quarterback. You do have a veteran head coaching staff. So I expect the Baltimore Ravens to do all they can to confuse Justin Fields. I just hope that the Bears don't get gun shy and start pulling punches and calling conservative type plays, because like I said, guys, Tua Tagovailoa and Jacoby Brissett were pretty much tag teaming this Baltimore Ravens team. They think they gave up close to 300 yards through the air last week and a couple of touchdowns. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that Justin Fields goes ahead and throws for 300 plus yards this game if he's able to find open receivers and if the play calling is focused in that direction. I'm not gonna get into the play calling. You know how that goes in Chicago. It's a very sensitive topic. As of right now, I'm thinking that it's Bill Lazor. So we're going to go whatever Bill Lazor does today. As you look at the Bears' offensive stats, whatever Bill Lazor does today, it needs to be in attack mode. It needs to be aggressive. You can't get gun shy, especially if Justin makes a mistake early. You cannot get gun shy. You saw how conservative they were in that first half against Pittsburgh. Let that shit go, man. Put that shit aside. Allow him to hold on one second. Allow him to make those mistakes. Allow him to get his feet under him. You've seen the difference. Like I said, it was night and day that first half to the second half. Maybe Justin needs to get his beak a little wet from game to game. But as far as play calling is concerned, don't handcuff the kid. Just don't handcuff the kid, in my opinion. Let him do what he does best. Bears defense is still doing a decent job as far as numbers are concerned, but we've seen the play on the field the past few weeks. Just not pretty. Not getting the job done whatsoever. Ever since that Vegas, call it a Vegas hangover or what have you, but ever since Vegas, it's been very, very downhill for the Bears. It's, like I said, lone bright spot. Well, maybe there's a couple bright spots. But they're more individual players than units. So you got Justin, you got the running backs. You have Larry Borum, who's been doing a fantastic job. I still feel like Cole Kmet's a bright spot. He's woken up a little bit. He's making some tough plays, some tough catches. He's taking some tough shots, but he's able to step up and make himself available when Justin needs him the most. And you've seen it in the past couple of weeks. He's just trying to find himself open for Justin. Rashad Kennedy, game planning is a word of the day. 8 is out. Nagy will be under the microscope. No doubt. If 8 once Rashad, once 8 was out, you knew we had a shot. You knew it was more than just a shot. You knew we should win this game. Once Lamar went out, and I feel like Lamar, you'll see how important this man is to this offense. You'll see why I say he's the MVP regardless of what, people. And I know if Pat Mahomes is out, I feel like you'll see the same type of drop-off. But Lamar Jackson is the MVP because he's the only one that can make this offense work. I'll say that much. His athleticism, his ability, his growth in the passing game is the most important thing because he's been lighting it up this year. He really has struggled last week. The Miami Dolphins really stacked the box on him and really disguising their blitz. They pretty much went man-to-man on the backside and dared him to throw. But they were constantly bringing a free man at Lamar Jackson. He had no time to throw the football. They had no time to run. They had no time to really do anything last week. I don't know if the Bears are going to run that type of a defense. I'm sure they should show that type of a defense. I don't think they're going to have this exact same game plan as Miami because they ran that front a lot, that zero front a lot in that Thursday night game. But as far as Tyler Huntley is concerned and who's going to be taking over for Lamar, it should be the same thing. Tyler Huntley's a second-year player. At his first career start, I feel like you can confuse him just as much as Baltimore thinks they can confuse Justin Fields. So you should be able to take advantage of Tyler Huntley in his first start just as much as they will Justin Fields. The only thing that scares me about that is Sean Desai is, he's not John Harbaugh. He hasn't been a part of that Baltimore Ravens crew who I feel like no matter who they are, no matter who the coaches are, no matter what they do, they just consistently get their team and keep their team involved and improve their team really year in and year out, game by game. They adjust to their team. They adjust to the talents of who they have on their roster. The Baltimore Ravens are a really good football team. I'm sure they'll have Tyler Huntley as prepared as he can be, but why not? You have the talent on this defense to wreak havoc a little bit against a wounded Ravens team. Why can't you do it? You're meant to dial up a lot more pressure this year, Sean Desai. I've yet to see that. It's more Chuck Pagano than Vic Fangio. So there's got to be something. There's got to be something figured out on defense. Just as much as we hate what's been going on so far, as far as totality on offense, as far as this regime has gotten us up to this point on offense, the defense has been lacking as well. There's big time stops on third down in that Monday night, and against the San Francisco 49ers that weren't picked up. They weren't able to do it. They weren't able to stop them. And I honestly feel like one or two more stops in those games, right? One or two. I'm not saying you have to stop them all. You have to shut them out on third down, but one or two more stops maybe put you in position to kick a field goal. Maybe put you in position to get a touchdown. Maybe saves you maybe gives you an extra possession so you're able to go ahead and put some more points on the board for your team and maybe make it closer than it was. It is what it is. No, you can't look back as much as I do because it's kind of frustrating when you look at how many games I felt like the Bears should have won this year, last year, and in years past. I felt like the Bears are always a day late and a dollar short, always just one right move away from actually being a decent team. A lot of mistakes so far with this regime, a lot of mistakes. Man, I want to say in the past 10 years, there's been a lot of mistakes going from Trestman, Fox to Matt Nagy. Just a lot of confusion going on with the Chicago Bears organization. As you see the Ravens stats, the Ravens are, like I said, they're decent on offense. No Lamar today, but games like this need to be won. Games like this need to be a no doubter. And even with what's been going on in the past, couple hours with knowing Lamar's out, with knowing, you're not going to have Marquise Brown, you're not going to have Jimmy Smith. You're still skeptical because of who is leading this team, right? And I mean it coaching wise. Who's leading this team coaching wise? I think they got the leader in number one. I really do believe in number one, Justin Fields. Up to this point, I know he has to prove it a lot, some more. You got to win more games. You got to win games. But I think you have your leader in number one. I don't think you need to look for leadership in your head coach anymore. I don't think you ever could look for leadership in your head coach. But I think you need to start listening to Justin Fields a lot more than we're listening to Matt Nagy, because he does reveal a lot. I was talking to Sean yesterday, and I told him, I was like, I just heard Justin Fields talking about similar shit that we were talking about with Mitch and how he's comfortable being used and what really suits the style of offense that we have and what we should do and what fits the type of players. And it was just so frustrating. And I hope he talks about it tomorrow. I hope he mentions it tomorrow. But it was just so frustrating listening to him pretty much read out what has been going on in these past 3-4 years as a rookie quarterback, telling you what works and what doesn't as a rookie quarterback. And we couldn't get that type of competence from our coaching staff in 3 years, even with Mitch. Even with Mitch. And that's what's been damning to me is your quarterback. Your quarterback has more leadership qualities than the head coach. I feel like anybody on that coaching staff as of right now. Your quarterback. Your quarterback's the guy. You should focus on him a lot more. Listen to what Justin Fields has to say as opposed to Matt Nagy and Bill Lazor. Maybe pay attention to Bill Lazor a lot more because he's the closest to Justin at this point. But other than that, everything else is just lip service from this coaching staff. Let's get into my keys to a Bears win. And honestly, with Lamar being out, it should be a lot easier now to pick up this victory. But the number one, like I had mentioned before, cut Justin loose. Attack that secondary. Don't forget about your running backs. But attack that secondary of the Baltimore Ravens, who have yet another cornerback out in Jimmy Smith today for them. So, like I said, cut Justin loose. Do not hold him back. Attack with your tight ends. Attack with your receivers. Just keep throwing downfield. See if you can't connect on. Well, I guarantee you're going to connect on a lot. Like I said, Miami had a field day with this Ravens secondary. Second, with your running backs, draws and screens. That front of the Baltimore Ravens is still good. Like I had mentioned, they're still good. Their linebackers are still good. So draws and screens to keep them off balance, keep them honest, and maybe you could take advantage of that with them. Use their speed to your advantage. Third, that's supposed to be on a scroll. And this one was going to be third, but it doesn't even matter anymore. It was going to be keep Lamar Jackson throwing the football and don't let him beat you with his legs. I feel like I should say the same thing for Tyler Huntley, not knowing he's a second year player, undrafted out of Utah. Has athleticism. I've seen him a couple times in the preseason. Has athleticism, but he's not Lamar Jackson. So again, I would keep that same game plan. Allow Tyler Huntley to try to beat you through the air. Stay disciplined in the secondary. If you're Chicago, especially on third down. Don't let Tyler Huntley get out of the pocket and beat you with his legs and keep drives going. That's going to be the main thing. I know it said Lamar, but just replace it with Tyler Huntley. Don't let Tyler Huntley beat you with his legs. Don't let the Ravens continue to keep drives alive, especially on third down. Allow him to throw the football, get pressure on Tyler Huntley, and I think the Chicago Bears are going to come up with a few turnovers today. If they can do that, I'm going to go with the Bears. You know, I can't not go against the Bears team. Like I said, you're out your number one quarterback, your number one rusher, and your number one receiver. Tyler Huntley, undrafted quarterback, starting for you. It doesn't look good for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to go Chicago Bears, and I'm going to give the Bears a little bit of a. I'm going to say, fuck it, Bears 31, Baltimore Ravens 13. It should be that. If this team comes in here and puts more than 20-something points on you, fire everyone tomorrow. You don't have anybody on this offense. All the running backs are out. Who's going to beat you? Old man Devontae Freeman? Is he going to beat you? Is Murray going to beat you? I don't think so. They just made the Baltimore Ravens very one-dimensional. 31-13 Chicago over Baltimore in today's game. That's going to be my final answer. Hopefully it comes to be true. I'm going to go ahead and take a break, guys. I will be joining you live, giving you my live reaction of the Bears game, breaking down every single play. Not really breaking it down, but just talking you through it, telling you how I feel, pretty much giving you the play-by-play up until halftime and throughout. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to take a quick break, finish this Guinness, maybe grab something to eat, kiss the babies. I'll see you in a little bit. Peace.